that voice from God happened to build the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. That's
Okay,
fine.
I think the minds would say the same thing. That's the problem with presuppositional
Yeah, let's
arguments.
go down.
Is that you could say anything.
Can we go visit?
I mean, God's telling me
can we
right
go
now
visit
that
the Mayan
you're a
nation?
fish. Do you think that's real?
Can we go visit the Mayan nation? They didn't last that long, did they?
Yeah, overkilling and violence, and you can justify that if you like.
You mean
if
all
like
the
keep
child
going into it.
sacrifice
And this is
they
the
did on the top
condescending
of
tone that
temples?
why I'm trying to match it is because
You mean
I'm
all the
just
child
matching energy.
sacrifice the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans did on the top of temples? Great
Do
civilization.
you want to go back into the
But-
Old Testament? Let's bring Parker up in here
But-
and talk about
hold
all
on.
the
Wait,
child
hold on. No.
child marriage,
Wait, hold
and we
on.
can talk
Wait.
about the justification of rape.
Where was child sacrifice ever in the Bible?
When Isaac was
Oh,
almost fucking
hold on.
sacrificed
Well, hold
by
on.
his dad.
He wasn't, though, because at the beginning of
Yeah,
Genesis...
so God just
hold
said
on.
like, nah, just kidding, dog.
Yeah,
Don't actually kill
why?
your son.
Because at the beginning of Genesis 16 said, I'm going to test
To prove
Abraham.
obedience,
Ah,
yes,
yeah, that's
correct,
right. So now
yes.
you know it. So actually, there was no child sacrifice in the Bible. It was a prohibition on child sacrifice in the Bible. But anyway,
Gotcha.
that's a little bit of a rabbit hole. Do you understand at least, can you sympathize with our perspective?
Okay.
That
I'll calm it down a little bit. I apologize for the
no,
condescension.
it's fine. I mean,
but
you're doing it's fine. But do you see where this could get wildly out of control? At least on the
I
extreme.
don't see how it would get out of
Okay.
control because
Even in sports, for example, you think that there's
Okay.
there's no.
So this is something that we might be able to agree upon, right? Sports were not archaeologically dug up, right? The rules of sports, they are things that we've created as a society. We have decided as a society the most fair categorization is male sports and female sports. Now, as we've been able to understand, or at least bring into the forefront, people who don't identify with the binary, we still have to allow all people that are women in the women's category and all men that are men in the women's category. That includes cis and trans. If you'd like to change that category because you think it's unfair, we can do that. That's what's awesome about arbitrary rules is we can decide hormones.
I might not know this, but like when the Greeks started the Olympics 2,000 years ago, did they have like a bunch of dudes wrestling with women?
I don't even think they allowed women to compete.
Well,
I might be wrong on that, but
that kind of proves the point, though, that there was
yeah, and what did we do to allow women? We changed the rules.
Right, no, but that, by definition, therefore, there is something from body composition, bone mass, lung density, testosterone, and estrogen rates,
Yeah.
or endocrinology is
So
different.
if you'd say the majority of males in the bimodal distribution graph, we're going back to that, you can say, hey, we want this level of hormones in this particular category, and we can separate it by hormones. I agree with you that a majority of men or majority of
Well, not
cis
even
men
a majority. You got to be like 99.9%.
I don't know. Ronda Rousey could kick my ass. I will say that.
No, for sure, but I
Okay.
mean, but could she kick Conor McGregor's ass?
Well, now we're talking about the peaks, right?
But
the
she's
peaks
at the
of
peak, though.
cisgender.
No, because you're talking about the peaks of two different categories in the same sort of.
Right, because why? She's a cis woman.
She's a cis woman, and
Correct.
he's
A cis man.
But yes, and he
Correct.
could kick her tail, right?
Yes, I would agree.
Oh, okay, for sure, right?
Because cis men and cis women have different hormone levels.
No,
if
we-
you want to
we-
change the hormones, we
we-
can change the categorization.
but
you're saying that you want men and women, bar none, and you say that's the most
Well,
fair category. Then we
it's-
have to
it's
allow
not- it's
all
not
women
even a
and
matter-
all men.
Well, but again, those things don't. So I just want to be clear.